bracket. We're going to start with the Eastern Conference. Giannis, Antetokounmpo, Jalen Brunson, Cade Cunningham, Tyrese Maxey, Jaylen Brown. First starter is the Joker. Next up, Luka Doncic. And then we have our guy Shea, Steph Curry. It is Victor Wembanyama.
For the first time in LeBron James' storied career, one defined by dominance, records, and championships, the narrative has shifted. The discussion is no longer centered on his unstoppable play or his ability to defy time.
I think it's pretty clear that the Lakers, no matter what happens at the end of the season, no matter how far they get, unless, I guess, they win the title, which is not the most likely outcome.
That defense.
I just don't see him in their plans past this summer. They didn't offer him an extension. They're going to have to give more money to Austin Reeves. They're going to have to beef up the defense. So I just don't think they want to sign a 41-year-old for another year or two.
Now, the conversation has shifted to something almost unthinkable. Whether the NBA is finally getting ready for life after LeBron James. It's a stunning turn no one anticipated, and it has sent shockwaves through the basketball world. When Rachel Nichols analyzed LeBron's all-star situation and began questioning his future with the Lakers, the tone changed instantly. This wasn't just another sports debate anymore.
All-star voting, fan vote, first coming out. They're the usual suspects at the top, Luka Doncic, Giannis, but notably, one LeBron James was down at the bottom of the top 10. I think he was 8th in Western Conference.
7th or 8th,
in that range, which, leads to the broader question of will LeBron make the All-Star team? I've been pretty adamant for the last week that he wasn't going to make it.
You've been ahead on this.
I anticipated the All-Star voting to be better for him, but I thought the player vote, or the player vote and the media vote would not be good.
It suddenly felt serious, almost like a quiet signal that something major was unfolding behind the scenes. Fans sensed it too, a flashing red flag right in front of everyone, hinting that the Kings' reign might finally be nearing its end. Now, the question burning through every group chat and podcast is impossible to ignore. Are we actually watching LeBron's decline happen in real time? Or have fans already accepted that the next era of basketball is moving on without him? It's a wild thought no one wanted to confront, yet here it is, front and center. So what's your take? Drop it below, because when the All-Star fan votes were revealed, no one saw the shock coming. Luka Doncic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Nikola Jokic. No surprises there. They're permanent fixtures in the All-Star conversation.
The fans generally are voting in the right direction. If you look at who's the top of those lists, they get 50% of the vote, the media gets 25% of the vote, the players get 25% of the vote, but the fan vote's a good indicator, right, on where things are going. I think you've been right when you say the coaches are less likely to put him on the reserves, just the coaches tend to really reward like insider basketball picks more than they do names. I do think, though, whether it's the coaches or eventually Adam Silver, and we'll get to that in a minute, I think, and the players too, there's an appreciation of LeBron that sometimes the media and fans are so quick to jump into analysis of him and how he's playing. I think there's a lot of players in the league who still, really think, man, what that guy is doing is incredible.
But what truly stunned everyone was where LeBron James landed on the list. Instead of sitting comfortably at the top, where he's lived for nearly 2 decades, LeBron was barely holding on to a spot inside the Western Conference's top 10. That sudden drop made the basketball world pause, because it raised a question no one ever thought they'd ask out loud. Is LeBron James still an automatic All-Star starter? Rachel Nichols had already poured fuel on the fire a week earlier, openly saying she didn't believe LeBron would be voted in as a starter this season. Then she went even further, questioning whether he might miss the All-Star team entirely through the standard selection process. It was a bold take, but the way she laid it out made fans stop and think. The fan vote accounts for 50% of the All-Star total. And if fans are genuinely beginning to move on from the king, that's more than surprising. It's a clear sign that the league is shifting in real time. Media members control another 25%, with player votes filling in the final quarter. So if LeBron slips to 7th, 8th, or 9th in fan voting, his chances of starting could disappear altogether. That's wild when you remember this is a player who owned the top spot for 2 straight decades and is now fighting just to stay in the conversation. And when it comes to coaches, history matters far less than production. They reward who's dominating right now, not who built a legendary resume years ago. What shocked people even more was that Rachel Nichols wasn't surprised at all when the voting numbers dropped. She broke it down simply: LeBron has missed a significant portion of the season. Call it injuries, rest, or load management. The reality is he hasn't been consistently on the floor. And when you're not out there night after night, it's harder to keep fans fully locked in, especially in a league constantly chasing new stars and fresh highlights. LeBron's legacy is untouchable. Fans still respect everything he's accomplished. But the era where people automatically clicked his name just because he's LeBron James may finally be ending. Respect alone doesn't guarantee votes anymore. Not in a league where effort, availability, and nightly impact matter more than reputation. Yes, LeBron can still explode offensively when he wants to. But defensively, it's clear he's pacing himself. He's choosing his moments, conserving energy, and fans are noticing. Combine that with missed games, slower rotations, and a Lakers defense that struggled badly, and patience starts to wear thin. For the first time ever, LeBron isn't being treated as untouchable. He's being judged by the same standards as every other star fighting to remain relevant. That's a massive shift no one expected to witness. Then Nichols took things even further, past the All-Star debate and straight into uncomfortable territory: LeBron's future with the Lakers. She said plainly that unless the Lakers make a championship run, she doesn't see LeBron fitting into their long-term plans. That landed like a bombshell. The front office hasn't offered him an extension. They're facing major financial decisions, including paying Austin Reeves, reshaping the roster, and fixing a defense that's been bleeding points. When you connect the dots, the picture becomes clearer. Committing massive money to a soon-to-be 41-year-old superstar, even one named LeBron James, may not align with where the franchise is headed. It sounds unbelievable, but the purple and gold chapter of LeBron's career may actually be nearing its end. That's the reality fans are struggling to accept. It's not about disrespect. It's about business, vision, and planning for what comes next. The Lakers may already be preparing for life after LeBron, and that alone signals just how much the basketball world has changed.
And then the real thing that could shift it is this new format, which is USA versus the world. And the idea is to have 8 players from the world and 16 players from the USA. However, they're not voting that way. The voting is still Eastern Conference, Western Conference. And the reason for that is, as I always say, team ownership in the East wants an all-star on their team that they can sell tickets for on the back end of the season. So there will always be East-West voting, no matter what format we have. But once you have those East-West pool in and you stick them back all together into one pool, if there aren't 8 international players or if there aren't quite 16 American players, Adam Silver is the one who appoints the final American player.
Looking at the Lakers roster, their salary cap crunch, and the pressure to stay competitive, it's starting to seem like LeBron might not fit into their long-term blueprint anymore. No matter how legendary his name is. That's exactly why the All-Star voting drama hits so hard. It's not just a weekend of highlight dunks and red carpets. It's a reflection of how the basketball world sees your place in the game right now. Seeing LeBron drop to 9th in the fan vote says it all. Fans aren't rushing to crown him anymore. They respect the legacy, sure, but their excitement is shifting to the next generation of stars ready to take over the league. That's a seismic shift in energy, one that could signal the start of a whole new NBA era. Rachel Nichols added a reminder that landed like a gut punch. Last season, LeBron was voted in as an all-star but pulled out at the last minute. That move didn't just shake up the weekend, it cost another player a real shot at the spotlight, someone who earned it and actually wanted to play. Moments like that don't fade from memory. Coaches, players, and fans all remember. So when the next votes roll around, that hesitation lingers. Will he actually show up this time? Yet despite all the chatter about decline and whether his prime years are behind him, Nichols made one thing crystal clear. Inside NBA circles, LeBron James still commands massive respect.
If Adam Silver appointed LeBron, he's played in 21, he hasn't played in 21. He's been appointed to 21, voted into 21 All-Star games. He didn't play last year, and he started in 20 of them, or voted as a starter in 20 of them. And I don't know, one of the reasons I thought this was a big deal when you brought it up last week is, does he use that weekend to announce that he's wrapping up after the season?
That would be interesting, and You've been on that for at least a week now, probably long.
Players know exactly how hard it is to stay this good for this long, especially with the wear and tear of 2 decades at the top. That kind of longevity is rare, and nobody inside the league takes it lightly. Many of today's young stars grew up watching LeBron dominate. For them, he's more than just a player. He's the face of their entire basketball generation. That respect still carries serious weight and could very well be enough to keep him locked in as an all-star reserve. But let's keep it real. That untouchable image he once had as an automatic starter, it's starting to fade. The mystique that used to guarantee him a front-row seat in every all-star lineup isn't quite bulletproof anymore. The votes, the numbers, the fan reactions, they're all starting to tell a different story. And then comes the twist that could flip everything. The wild card in all of this, Adam Silver. With the new USA vs. World All-Star format, the commissioner now holds the power to personally handpick players to keep the teams balanced. That means LeBron could still end up in the game, not through fan votes or player polls, but by special appointment. Imagine that, the king getting the call straight from the commissioner himself, one last royal invitation to the All-Star stage. But then Rachel Nichols asked the question that really hit deep. Would LeBron even want that kind of invite? Would a man who's built his entire legacy on dominance and earned respect want to be a commissioner's pick instead of winning his spot like he always has? Or would he rather skip the whole thing altogether, dodge the awkward optics, avoid the headlines and protect his image from any hint of pity? That choice could reveal everything about where his head's at, especially if deep down LeBron already knows this might be his final season on the court. Rachel broke it down even further. If this truly is LeBron's last ride, then accepting an all-star nod, even as an appointment, actually makes total sense. Legends before him have done it too. Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Dwayne Wade, all took that final bow when the time came. Before stepping off the stage, the league gives you that one last moment under the lights. That one last standing ovation. That's what true icons deserve. But here's the thing.
My question with that is, like, if LeBron doesn't make it through traditional methods,
Sure.
would he want that appointment? Remember, he didn't play in the game last year. Chalked it up to injuries, what have you. Do you think that he would want a last-minute appointment by the commissioner? Or would someone like him say, I don't need it.
I want to go to Cabo, which is
I'd
what
rather
I
go
believe
be
what
on a
he did
banana
last
boat
year.
somewhere and do my thing.
Right.
What do you think? You've covered him a long time. Do you think he would want that appointment?
I think it really depends on where his head is at in terms of how much longer he's going to play. I think it's pretty clear that the Lakers, no matter what happens at the end of the season, no matter how far they get, unless, I guess, they win the title, which is not the most likely outcome.
That defense.
I just don't see him in their plans for past this summer. They didn't offer him an extension. They're going to have to give more money to Austin Reeves. They're going to have to beef up the defense. So I just don't think they want to sign a 41-year-old for another year.
If LeBron hasn't mentally reached the point of stepping aside, if he still sees himself as a top-tier competitor, being handed an all-star spot instead of earning it could sting. It would be a bruise to his pride, a reality check sharper than any defender could deliver, and that's only part of it. The emotional weight is immense. LeBron has never been unwanted. Not once. From the moment he was drafted, teams lined up for him. Coaches built their playbooks around him. Franchises shaped their futures around his presence. For 20 years, he has been the center of the basketball universe, the sun every team orbits. But now, if the Lakers, or any team, look him in the eye and say, "We're moving in another direction," it's not just business. It's personal. For someone who has carried the game on his back for decades, that shift wouldn't just be difficult. It would be heartbreaking. Of course, teams still covet him. The Clippers, the Warriors, a storybook return to Cleveland. LeBron is still pure gold in business terms. Tickets spike, arenas sell out, jerseys fly off shelves. But on the court, fitting him into a contender without breaking the team's long-term plan is complicated. Uprooting his family from the life he's built in Los Angeles? That's a heavy price emotionally, financially, and for his legacy. Stack all of this together, and the All-Star voting starts to look less like a popularity contest and more like a warning flare. Fans aren't angry. They aren't burning jerseys or trash talking. They're quietly moving on. And that calm detachment might be the loudest message of all. Ninth in the fan votes isn't hate. It's a reflection of how the game is evolving. New stars are rising, and for the first time in decades, the NBA isn't revolving around LeBron. Yet LeBron has always controlled the narrative. One announcement, one statement, and he can flip the story. Imagine him retiring during All-Star Weekend. One moment, one speech, and the narrative changes entirely. Suddenly, it's not about slipping rankings or fading fan attention. It's a global farewell. The crowd isn't judging, they're thanking him. But if he plays it vague, teasing without clarity, fans and the league meet him with that same cool, uncertain energy we've seen this season. Rachel Nichols didn't say LeBron is washed. She didn't attack his game. She highlighted the deeper truth. The Lakers don't see him in their future. Once a franchise reaches that point, everything shifts. Fan voting, media tone, league focus. It's the NBA slowly turning the page, even while LeBron's story continues to be written. No matter what happens this season, one thing is undeniable. LeBron James is one of the greatest ever. His name is etched in history alongside the legends who define the sport. But greatness doesn't freeze time. It doesn't prevent the next generation from rising or guarantee your throne forever. The All-Star voting, the Lakers' contract silence, Rachel Nichols' words, they all confirm it. The LeBron era may be entering its final chapter. Whether he's ready or not, the league is moving forward without waiting for him. And that's what makes this moment so compelling. It's not just stats or missed games or fan votes. It's the silence, the quiet shift that hits harder than outrage ever could. No social media campaigns, no trending hashtags, no defenses from the league. The story keeps moving. For the first time in 20 years, LeBron isn't the gravitational pull of every NBA headline. For a man who spent his career commanding every room, that quiet transition is louder than any scandal or stat sheet. It's the NBA's way of saying the torch has passed. And even if LeBron never admits it, he knows it. The buzz is no longer about what he's doing, it's about what comes next. Every game, every press conference, every highlight reel feels less like a victory lap and more like a countdown toward the end of an era. This is what truly defines a legend's legacy. It's not just rings or trophies or MVPs anymore. It's about handling the fade out, how you navigate the final stretch when the spotlight dims. Will LeBron go out swinging, reminding the world who runs the game one last time? Or will he take control of the story, call his own shot, and leave on his own terms? The league may be moving forward, but the king isn't forgotten. Every young star carries a piece of his influence. Every highlight echoes his style. Every arena he enters still pulses with greatness. Whether this is his final chapter or another reinvention, one thing is clear. LeBron James isn't fading quietly. He's too aware, too competitive, and too proud to drift away without leaving another unforgettable mark. But what he's facing now is unprecedented. The feeling of becoming irrelevant to the future. Teams aren't asking, how do we build around LeBron? They're asking, how do we build after him? For a superstar who has been the heartbeat of every franchise he's touched, that realization cuts deep. The blueprint has become a question mark. The automatic solution has become the unknown factor. And that uneasy flip in the narrative may be the toughest adjustment of his entire career. Watching the game shift from revolving around him to moving past him is a new kind of challenge. One that hits deeper than any loss, any injury, or any statistic ever could. LeBron James' story isn't over. Far from it. But the NBA is quietly turning the page, and for the first time, the next era is beginning to take shape. The king may not command the center stage as he once did, but he's still writing the rules for how a legend handles the transition.